So build power tools. You're essentially building software that solves unique problems for your users. You basically want to give them, I put it here as superpowers to accomplish things that they weren't able to do before, or things that were just incredibly cumbersome or time intensive to accomplish before. I call out on the top right there a picture of the founder of Musical.ly, Alex Zhu, and Musical.ly launched in 2014 kind of as a social app to create your own music videos. Musical.ly eventually got acquired by ByteDance in, I guess it was about 3 years after Musical.ly's launch, for just a shade under $1 billion. And ByteDance merged their TikTok platform with Musical.ly, and it's kind of TikTok as you know it today. I think at the time of the acquisition, Musical.ly was actually bigger than TikTok, but ByteDance obviously just a huge company over in China, just trying to make their US presence more profound at the time. So the quote here from Alex during one of his interviews was, the first user of Instagram didn't use Instagram for the feeds or the likes or the comments. The first user used it for the amazing filters. Before you have critical mass of users, you need to have utility. Pretty basic, fundamental quote, but he's got a pretty interesting journey as he kind of discovered that. So as Musical.ly started, 2014, they were doing well, but they weren't growing explosively. They didn't have the hockey stick growth that they eventually got to. All of a sudden, in about a year after they launched, they started noticing spikes of traffic routinely on Thursday night. And it was a complete outlier. It made no sense. After 2 or 3 Thursdays in a row, they really dug into it and tried to figure out why they were getting a spike of installs every Thursday. After some Googling, they realized that there was a brand new TV show that was getting super popular on Spike TV. And it's still, I think, the most popular show Spike TV ever was created. And it was called Lip Sync Battle. And the audience of the show Lip Sync Battle, after the show ended on Thursday nights, went to the App Store and they wanted to make their own lip syncing videos. And there weren't a ton of apps that were offering at the time. So despite Musical.ly not presenting their product as a lip sync creation tool or network, because it was music video, they were still ranking pretty highly for lip sync type phrases. So they would get this flood of traffic of people that wanted to create lip sync videos. And they noticed that the people that came in on Thursday nights were great users. They stuck around a long time. They were creating a lot of content and, were really contributing to like sustainable growth as a new segment of their audience. So what they did was they refocused all of their messaging, all of their onboarding flow, and their entire value prop from basically, make music videos to, make or just like lip sync. And once they made that change and they presented all new users with, the best lip sync specific videos as soon as they launched the app for the first time, and they really prompted people to specifically lip sync, their growth exploded. It became the viral sensation that it did, and retention got radically better, and it led to their acquisition by TikTok 2 years later. Just an interesting journey, and it was crazy to me how a small shift in their value proposition, just presenting a power tool that was kind of within their app as the main feature, totally changed things for them. So other examples of kind of power tools, they can be the entire product as a tool, or it could be aspects of within your product that empower things that otherwise weren't possible before. A famous example here is from Craigslist. So early on in Airbnb. Airbnb had Craigslist as the giant in the room that they wanted to, take a piece of market share from. Craigslist had all the listings for apartments, all the people looking for short-term rentals, vacation rentals, all that kind of stuff. Airbnb needed to port that section of Craigslist over to their own walled garden. And, they had the classic chicken or the egg problem, because they needed listers to, list their units and their apartments and their houses. And they also needed people that were actively looking for these apartments. And if you don't have one, it's really hard to get the other. You're not going to get people looking for apartments if you don't have many apartments listed. And why would somebody list their apartment on Airbnb if nobody's looking there? So what they did was they made it incredibly easy for their early users to also post to Craigslist. So every time you went to create a listing on Airbnb, they built this really simple tool. It took a lot of work because Craigslist kind of has a complicated back end and interface to actually do this stuff. They built an incredibly simple tool for the user, for their listers to cross-post. And in those cross-posts, they linked back to the listing on Airbnb. So what happened was you had these early Airbnb users saving a lot of time, so they were happy to use this cross-post feature. And instead of having a separate listing on Craigslist, they were linking back to the Airbnb listing. So all the Craigslist traffic that they would get from posting to Craigslist ended up on Airbnb and booking through Airbnb because of this little hack that they put together. So it led to tons of new demand and users looking for apartments on there. And because their product was so much better than Craigslist and the experience was so much better, the people the next time they were looking for a rental, they used Airbnb instead of Craigslist. Whole list of reasons why that's the case. Craigslist, known for scams, it's a little bit sketchy. Payments are a little tricky because there's no trusted third party to handle it for you. Airbnb takes out a lot of those problems, so it's just a better experience. And the fact that they were able to port over the user base like that, it just works incredibly well. Another example within the sports space, website called FantasyPros. So FantasyPros is now the largest fantasy content website out there. They sell premium content tools and software and rankings and help with fantasy draft at the beginning of the year with software that just lives on top of your Yahoo connection. And they're known as just a great place to step up your fantasy game in a lot of ways. And the way they got traffic early on was they had this great content on the site. They were aggregating rankings from all of the fantasy experts that were posting weekly fantasy rankings or preseason rankings. So they would aggregate all the rankings and attach it, to every single player in the league. And what they did was they saw a huge long tail of search traffic for, fantasy queries, and they just attacked those long tails incredibly well. On Sunday mornings when you're setting your fantasy roster before NFL kickoff, you're faced with a lot of decisions. You're deciding, which guy on your bench you should start, which one you should sit. So people, a lot of people go to Google and say, who should I start this week? Julio Jones or Odell Beckham in my example here on the right side. And FantasyPros has generated standalone SEO-friendly landing pages for every possible comparison between two players on a weekly basis. So whenever you search two player names like this in the top right corner, FantasyPros ranks number one, sometimes number two, and they just dominate this listing and this type of traffic. And it's obviously people that care a lot about fantasy and, great prospects for them to upsell to and funnel into their, paid services. So FantasyPros, huge SEO play and totally capitalized on it. They funnel into their own products and they make a ton of money doing referral marketing for FanDuel, DraftKings, who have been more than willing to pay big bounties for, qualified fantasy traffic and people that are depositing. So that's an example from FantasyPros. And another example is from TikTok. So I obviously studied this space pretty closely because I did a short video recently. One thing TikTok did was, they built an amazing camera. They built amazing editing tools. These editing tools and this camera, really allow you to create unique videos. They have AR overlays. They have super simple time cropping and editing, filters, lens tricks, with duplicate do crazy things with just the presentation of the content that you provide into TikTok. And because it was so unique, a lot of people, when they created a TikTok video, they wanted to share it elsewhere because it was not something they were able to make anywhere else. So they would make videos in TikTok and they wanted to share them on other platforms. So TikTok recognized this. They saw people getting really hacky about ways to share their TikTok videos elsewhere. So they just made it super simple to download any video you want on TikTok to your own hard drive. And when you download it, they would watermark it with their logo, logo that moves from the top left corner, bottom right corner, kind of bounces around. But these are these totally unique videos that are branded TikTok videos. And then they got shared to Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else. And then if you started noticing TikTok videos popping up all over the place, people got curious and they went and went over to TikTok to check out more of them at that point. So they made it super simple for people to share content they were proud of on TikTok elsewhere. And that kind of virality is tough to get other ways. Cool. Any thoughts, questions, ideas around kind of tools that you can build? If not, happy to just continue through.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do you think that the kind of the virality of TikTok that's happened, like besides just the utility of it, does it also have to do with just where the market's at and like the right like positioning? Like, do you think TikTok would have succeeded had Instagram not been around before?
So I think, TikTok's focus was much more on video creation, while Instagram's focus has always been more photo sharing. So I think the fact that they built a better tool for video specifically, while it was kind of an afterthought on Instagram, was super important to their early success. And another differentiator there was around audio. When you use TikTok, you pretty much always have audio on because it has that foundation as a music social platform. So people go there knowing, they expect to see lip syncing, acting out of movie scenes with, audio that's pre-recorded in the background. So I think the fact that it's, live video or, video creation was a huge differentiator. And that was kind of an area that Instagram wasn't attacking as aggressively as TikTok wanted to. Does that help? Cool. So another bucket of things that you can approach, I call game theory. So I have a nice quote here from Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's partner in crime. The quote here is, "Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome." Essentially saying that humans are predictable in that if you set up your incentives a certain way, it's pretty clear what people are going to do. So you can lead your users to, do what you want them to do in order to have the best experience with your product, in order to monetize better. So there are things that you can do to incentivize the right types of behavior. So an example here is DraftKings. I obviously know this space pretty well too. And one thing they did early, they also had a chicken or the egg problem, kind of like Airbnb. They wanted to host big contests, but they didn't have a lot of users early on. So they were just hyper aggressive with their giveaways, essentially. They would guarantee these huge prize pool tournaments where they said, we're going to come out and we're giving away $10 million in this contest on Sunday. We don't care how many people enter it, how much money we collect, $10 million is what we're paying out. So when they put something out like that, they caught the attention of, the high stakes players within fantasy, because, if they're driven by profit, it's a no-brainer to sign up on DraftKings and try to attack these big prize pools and get a huge payout. So they would guarantee these huge prize pools, and they saw great referral and word of mouth growth from this. Essentially, they worked with a lot of fantasy content websites in the space and partnerships. They would pay sites like FantasyPros to write about them and talk strategy of how to best play DraftKings. And they essentially armed all of these partners with an unbeatable offer. They basically said, DraftKings is guaranteeing this huge tournament. There's no way they're going to, collect enough money to cover it. So they're essentially giving away free money. So all of their partners that were, getting huge bounties to convert traffic to, sign up and deposit on DraftKings, use this offer to drive a ton of traffic to DraftKings. So all of the big fantasy sites were, yelling that DraftKings giving away tons of free money this week. You'd be stupid not to go give it a shot. So they got tons of referral traffic because they were just giving away so much stuff. And once they got, all of these high stakes players on DraftKings, these high stakes players explored other types of games on DraftKings, and the whole ecosystem was richer for it. They just, they committed to giving away money as a marketing expense, and it bootstrapped liquidity for them, and they saw incredible, viral growth from it. Another example here is Fortnite. So this is a little bit different, but what Fortnite did, they realized, people that would download Fortnite or, start playing it on Xbox or their PC, that if they started losing too quickly, they really wouldn't return very quickly. They, didn't care as much. So early on, most games do this. They kind of walled off their new users to only play against each other. They went a step beyond that by just matching by skill level, by adding bots to these huge lobbies of Fortnite players, where if you're a new player joining your first game, it might be 50% beginners and then 50% low-skilled robots for you to take advantage of. And these bots were not clearly marked as bots. They looked just like human players. They were generated out of the same costumes, and they had usernames. So it wasn't clear that you were having so much success against bots and not real people. But they built a lot of confidence in players early on by allowing them to just beat up on low-skilled bots in these big lobbies. So they really made new users comfortable learning the ropes and feeling good about, oh wow, I can have success playing this game. This is fun. Another example here, I go back to Airbnb. They do so much right. This example was interesting early on for them. So Craigslist was kind of an easy place for Airbnb to poach. Craigslist didn't really put any restrictions in place. So Airbnb, they would manually contact the listing agents that were posting on Craigslist with customized emails informing them that Airbnb might be a better place for them to post their listings. And I have a screenshot of one of those emails from 2009 here. So the email is, "Hello, I'm emailing you because you have one of the nicest listings in Craigslist in the Tahoe area, and I want to recommend you feature it on one of the largest vacation rental marketplaces on the web, Airbnb. Site already has 3 million page views a month. Check it out here." So this was a little hacky, but they were, contacting the exact people that they needed, to obviously poach the traffic off of Craigslist. And, people that were listing on Craigslist, I mentioned a little bit before, didn't have the best experience with Craigslist. Airbnb became a trusted third party to handle reputation, reviews, payments. They were just kind of an arbiter between the two parties that were, otherwise pretty anonymous to each other. And, Airbnb brought accountability to both renters and listing agents in that, their reputation was tracked over time. After a successful transaction, each party had the chance to review each other. So they really brought legitimacy to the space, and they made a lot of people more comfortable doing these short-term rentals. And they went directly to the source, obviously reaching out to people that were already listing apartments. Another thing from TikTok here. So when you sign up for a new social platform, it's generally hard to build a following and connect with people. TikTok kind of flips that on its head for a couple different ways. They've essentially made it very easy to build an audience, get discovered. They did this a couple ways. The first is when you open the app, whether it's first time or the millionth time, they default to a discovery page, not a feed of people that you've explicitly followed. So the discovery page is just surfacing the best videos from TikTok, and they're surfacing the best videos that they think you're going to enjoy based on how you've interacted with other videos on the platform. So it gives a lot of videos a fair shake at getting popular because they're just going to give new videos a chance to get discovered. They're measuring a lot of different things about behavior on each video. But if they're noticing good metrics, or the machine learning thinks it's going to be a video that is going to be popular, people are going to like it, they'll just surface it more. So everybody gets a fair shake to get viral, I guess. And early on in your TikTok life, when you upload your first few videos, they boost your signal. So you're going, even if you don't have many followers, they're going to show your video to people. So you start to feel a sense of the community and just the immense traffic that's within TikTok. They surface the number of views each of your videos get. So you can see that people are actually watching your videos as well. So when you're a new user, they boost your signal. And if you create good content early on in your TikTok life, there's a chance that you're going to blow up. And that's attractive to a lot of people, whether they're already creators on other platforms, they're starting from scratch. Everybody wants a fair shake, even if they're joining what they think is late. And they've made it also very easy for you to build an audience on TikTok and send it elsewhere, specifically Instagram. They have a native feature on every profile that you check out with the option to have a little widget next to your username that links to your Instagram profile. So TikTok's saying, yeah, we understand that you might be using TikTok to grow another platform like Instagram. That's okay with us, as long as you're creating good content here. We don't really care if you're trying to send people elsewhere. So they've just kind of embraced the idea of people wanting to build an audience and send it elsewhere, and that encourages creators to invest in the platform. Another one here is a company I work for, Burmy, the short video app that was a TikTok competitor. So one thing we recognized early on was that users that uploaded a video on their first day of existence in the app had a much different retention curve than users that did not upload a video on that first day. So we always alluded and encouraged people to create content or film a video within the app. But once we saw the difference in the retention curve, we saw that that was a real aha moment for users when they got into our platform. If you didn't, the difference was just totally stark. If you didn't upload a video on your first day, the odds that you were going to return on the second day were, I want to say, like 30%. If you did upload a video, your odds of returning on that second day were 65, 70%. So we recognized there's something about joining the community and feeling a sense of belonging and engagement that you get from actually participating that passive users aren't experiencing. So all throughout our onboarding flow, we really drive people to, not be shy and to give it a shot to just upload something. We even built a little reward hub for new users here that kind of walks them through a successful onboarding in our eyes. So you can see on the side here, upload your first video, and we would give out small amounts of in-app currency that they could later withdraw. So we literally incentivize it with money to do things that we knew were going to help them stick around and enjoy the experience better. So upload a video, add a profile picture, and invite a friend were the three things that we call out here. Any thoughts on any of those slides? TikTok.
Frank, could I ask a question? What was EMOG? Is that a crypto, like an ERC20 token or something like that, or what was it? Could they exchange it, for USD or Euro? Or?
Yeah, so it was an in-app only currency, but when you accumulated enough of this in-app currency, we allowed you to convert it into cryptocurrency or through a PayPal withdrawal. So we actually processed Ethereum withdrawals, Ether, for thousands of different users at one point every day, and we also offered PayPal as withdrawal option. And it was this in-app currency. When you got, I think, 100 of them for different things that you would achieve within the app, you could do a little scratch-off game, and the scratch-off game had a USD value that you could withdraw once you had a minimum through either crypto or through PayPal.
Scratch-off game, it was a game of chance, like a scratch card.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a little in-app scratch
cool.
card. Yeah, so it was like you could redeem 100 tokens in the app for a scratch-off card.
And presumably, no one knew that the chance might be, I don't know, 1 million to 1, or it could be 10 to 1. Yeah, so okay.
Yeah, every scratch-off card had something, even if it was like a couple pennies. So it was something. We were doing other things like rewarding you for passively engaging, where you were just like watching videos for 30 seconds. We would give you a token, but eventually, we wanted to get into the Facebook audience network to generate, ad revenue, build it into our native video feed. And Facebook dinged us and said, you can't incentivize people to watch videos because now we don't want you in the network if that's the case. And Facebook was by far and away our best option for native video. So we eventually scratched the passive earning for that reason.